the most powerful way to monetize a podcast, or really any business for that matter, is to attach it to a paid membership community. So if that is the case, then your podcast is the platform where you establish yourself as an authority in a subject, or a subject matter expert, or a thought expert.
Welcome to another episode of The Profitable Creative, the only place on the interwebs where you will learn how to turn your passion into profit. I am your host, Christian Brim. Special shout out to our one listener in Landing, New Jersey. Honestly, it just sounds like you mailed that one in, guys. But in any case, thank you for listening. Joining me today, Don Vito, the Podfather. Don, welcome to the show.
Hey, happy to be here. So what do you want me to call you, Christian or Chris? Or CB?
As long as you call me for dinner, you can call me whatever you want.
Hey.
But I do go by Christian. Yes.
All right.
Or CB. That's fine.
10-4.
Yeah. I did get a lot of that when I was a kid, because back when I was a kid, that was when like Smokey and the Bandit came out, and there were, truckers was kind of a cultural phenomenon back then.
Okay.
Smokey and the Bandit was a great film, by the way.
Burt Reynolds, right?
Burt Reynolds and the sheriff. What the heck was his name? He played in The Honeymooners.
Jackie Gleason?
Jackie Gleason, thank you. It was just escaping me. He was fantastic in that film.
Yeah.
So why do they call you the Podfather?
You call me the Podfather because that's the name I've adopted. I've been very instrumental in the podcast movement. I've been, producing podcasts since 2008. Actually, my background story started in the music industry as a 2-time Grammy-nominated multi-platinum music producer. So over time, I transitioned into podcasting and digital media after helping, launch a few shows like Candy Birds from the Real Housewives of Atlanta. Earn Your Leisure platform, which is Inside the Bubble, Ask Cash, and a slew of others. So I've been doing it, podcasting, since I'd say around 2009. And so I think the title is befitting.
You know what? No one else has claimed it. It's yours. So how do you go? So you were in music production, and then you moved to podcast production, which isn't a big leap, but why that change?
Well, once the music industry tanked after about 2008, the fees changed, and so what once was getting $30,000 to $50,000 to go in to produce a song, the labels, when I would have the conversations, they would say, "All right, cool, let's do it." And then it went from that to, "Why would we pay you that amount of money? We got Joe Blow who just mailed us some beats, and he only wanted to charge $500." So I knew I couldn't make no living like that. So I had to pivot. And it just so happened around that time I was searching, and a good friend of mine, Candy Birds, who also was a writing partner of mine in the music industry, she had started an online show called Candy Coated Nights. And so she called me one day and she's like, "Hey man, I got this idea. We've been doing a couple of episodes, and you technical, you know how to do that computer stuff and all that. Why don't you come by and check it out and see if it's something you'd be interested in?" I went by, saw it. I was like, "Oh, this is the future. I'm doing it." And so I committed to it, and we were off to the races from that point.
Well, I haven't been in podcasting nearly that long. This is just coming up on my second year, but a lot has changed since 2009 or so.
Absolutely.
So how has the business model for you changed in that time with podcasting?
So when I first started, it wasn't no business model. We were having fun.
Right.
Actually, it was a live show, but it was essentially a podcast. We'd have guests on, come on every Wednesday. So it really was no business model. And so the business model was bring people on the show, and hopefully we'd get some ad sponsorships, right? Mm-hmm. And so I had a bunch of roles that I had to fulfill at that point. It wasn't until 2020 when I started producing another show on a platform called Earn Your Leisure with Inside the Vault. We started producing the show, and so my mind, or our mindset, was, man, they got a big platform. Oh man, we about to kill the game with all these, with the views from YouTube and the downloads from the audio. And so, we producing shows, having these big guests on the show. And then the first check came a couple of months later. We like, all right, we finna eat. And that check came, Chris, and when I tell you it was $800, and we was looking at each other like, man, we can't.
How are we going to split this?
It was like, how do we sustain? Like, I remember the host at Ash said, man, I can't keep doing this for no $800. So I clicked in. I was like, I got to figure out a way to figure out how to make money. So I identified a couple of revenue streams when it came to monetizing the podcast. So that was my mission. It was like, most people are focusing on starting or growing the audience. My thing was, I got to get to the money. And so once I identified the money streams, the revenue streams, that's when I started actively going deep into just focusing my energy on that. Because, you can have a podcast with 100,000 guests or 100,000 subs, and I can have a podcast with 100 subs. But if I have an offer and I'm making an offer to that 100 and I convert 10% of that, or that's 10 people. And let's say, for instance, my offer is $2,500. So that's $25,000 that I've made from that one offer. But you still have the followers and the subs, but you don't have an offer or a call to action at the end of the show. So therefore, does it really make sense to have those followers or subscribers? It's more of a vanity metrics, if anything, in my opinion.
No, I agree with that. I just since I've gotten in and talked to folks that have been in the game longer than I have, and I guess 2020 was, COVID was the boom, like the real boom of people launching podcasts, and since then, it has continued to grow, but the number of ears hasn't grown. Maybe some, but like you're still chasing listeners if your intent is to replicate a radio show, or you're trying to go on an ad sponsor money making model. That doesn't work unless you're really, really good and can attract a lot of people. And to your point, even then the money's been squeezed. So then it's kind of like, okay, why do you have a podcast? What is it that you're using it for? What's the business intent behind it? And that's frankly something I still kind of am trying to figure out. Like exactly what is the business purpose of having the podcast beyond just, top of the funnel name recognition, credibility, long form content. Yes, it does all of those things, but does it make you any money?
Correct.
So when you are looking at those situations, where do you start looking for money? Like what's the process you go through there?
Well, the one thing, first, let me rewind the tape a little bit and say that the fact that you've been doing your podcast for, 2 years, which means you're probably right at or a little over 100 episodes, which is great, because I usually call it the pod grave. People go to the pod grave at around 12 episodes when they realize the intensity, the work that has to be done behind the scenes, because at a glance, most people look at podcasts and they say, oh, man, all I got to do is sit in front of a mic. I know a lot of people want to hear what I got to say, so it's two people on the couch in front of a mic with an opinion.
Right.
That fizzles out after a while. So one of the things I mainly advise people to think about is what is the business of the podcast, because really the podcast is the platform, right? That you build a business around, and you leverage that platform around an expertise, right? So it's the business of what you're at, right? So like I said, I became obsessed with solving the problem of helping creators turn attention into revenue, because, creativity without a business model really is just a hobby, in my opinion.
Yeah. No, I agree with that.
Yeah. And so, there's affiliate email lists, ads, but the most powerful way to monetize a podcast, or really any business for that matter, is to attach it to a paid membership community. So if that is the case, then your podcast is the platform where you establish yourself as an authority in a subject, or a subject matter expert, or a thought expert. And, people get used to you talking. That's where you spend time. You get to nurture your audience, and then they want more of you. So where do they get more of you from? If you don't have like a call to action at the end of the show besides subscribe, which is a vanity metrics, you want to send them somewhere or have them purchase. So it's like, wow, Chris was really dropping some bombs on profitable creative. But man, I need to get more time with him. I need to get more. But if it stops after the podcast, then it stops after the podcast. But how about rather than that, you say, hey, listen, if you want more information like this, you should join my paid membership community of like-minded people where we collaborate and share and exchange ideas and decide of this. Hey, click the link and just go there, because now you got these people that are your tribe. And it's unlike social media in a sense, because, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, all those channels, you really don't own that media. So for any given reason, you could be shut down. And then how do you commit people at that point, right? Or maybe they think your language is offensive. But inside of your community, that's your tribe, and you can speak to them the way that you speak. And so let's say, for instance, if you have, let's just start with a conservative number. Maybe your reach is 20,000 across all your channels. But if you converted that 20,000 to about 1%, what is that? 200 people.
Yeah.
Imagine you had 200 people in a paid membership community paying you $47 a month. What does that money look like? And that's a recurring revenue every month, right? At the beginning of the calendar month. So most people, if your business is not making money every month, you really don't have a business. You really have a promotion, because each month you got to get out there and shake your ass or dance to bring in new customers. You know what I'm saying?
You don't want to see that. I can promise you.
Promise you, I don't want to see it. You got to
So, okay, when you are talking about building a community, I find that very interesting, because that's kind of a thread that I have been exploring. Mm-hmm. Paid or not paid, I don't care. How do you connect people? That you've identified them as your tribe. They've raised their hand and say, yes, what you say resonates with me. I find value in it. Where do you gather? Like, what does that look like?
So there are different platforms where outside. Well, actually, YouTube has a community platform within itself, but I'm not sure. I don't use that platform, but there are platforms outside of YouTube or other channels to use, right? So there's, Kajabi, Mighty, Circle, School, and you get those platforms, and then you want to really drive the traffic to one of those platforms where your community, where you build it out the way you want it to build, whether it's, if it's paid courses or free courses or weekly events where they can do live Q&As, or you could bring in guests. But the main thing is it's your tribe and on that platform. And you could do free. I wouldn't advise it. I mean, you're doing a YouTube show for free, so you're going to just take them off another channel to give them some more free. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
You want to.
I think the interesting thing about that is, because that I agree that has been the model. You mentioned some of the giants. I was on a webinar about podcasts with Alex Sanfilippo's Podmatch, and one of the speakers that was on there was a guy that had sold his business to Mighty, and he stayed on with Mighty. And this was January of 2026. And he said, online content sales, education sales, I don't remember exactly how he defined it. He said is actually shrinking. Like that market has peaked. And at Mighty, what they were really interested in is creating communities, where potentially you had the community creating the content, not just one person creating content for many, but more of a tribe where they're collaborating and sharing content together. Have you seen that trend?
So are you asking me, is the trend going to Mighty Networks or?
No, not Mighty, but just regardless of the platform, I think what they said really made sense to me in that the whole buy a course thing seems to me to have been played out. I mean, I'm not saying that you can't make money at it.
It depends, right? The course, if that's what you're leading with, a main course, then yeah, absolutely, it's played out, right? Because a lot of times people don't know what they're talking about when they're doing those courses. A course is really
right.
is the companion to your subject, to what your superpower is, right? And so sometimes, the course to me is, if you're an expert in, let's say, music industry or podcasting, then the course is being able to answer some questions of you to take time. It's like on demand, so you can go through the course, and raise some questions or get better understandings of the thing that you're trying to learn, and then through that course, it should answer some questions or raise some questions, so that when you inside the community, then you get on a call with the host of the community, and then you'll be able to ask questions based on the course material. Right. It's not just set it and forget it. Hey, it's a course, go join it, look at it.
Right.
Hey, good luck. It's a companion to your subject.
Hey, listeners, are you ready to turn your passion into profit? Then grab a copy of Profit First for Creatives. Click the link in the show notes to purchase a copy. And if you're not ready to make that full commitment, you can download a free copy of the first chapter. Check it out right now. Yeah, I guess that's what I'm saying is I think it's more the conversation, right? Like the dialogue, not just the expert, but expert to the tribe, chief to the tribe, however you want to describe that, but the tribe themselves communicating, collaborating, commiserating, whatever, problem solving, like that to me seems to be a very powerful concept. For instance, let's say, okay, I'm assuming that people that tune into this podcast are doing it because, the people that I want to tune in are going to be people that are creative professionals that own a business and they are trying to improve their business, make money with their business, those types of things. And depending upon where they are in that journey, they're going to have sets of questions, right? Like, so at the beginning, it might be, okay, I have this idea. How do I test it? How do I do it while I still keep a 9-to-5 job? How do I convert it from a side hustle to a full-time gig? Those types of questions. And then as they progress, they're going to have, their business changes, their questions change. Right. And getting those people in the same room, right, to help each other. I have thoughts, I have advice on that, but it's also to me much more powerful to have someone, that's walked that road and say, well, this is how I did it. Like, and these are the challenges that I had, and this is what I would have done differently. That's what I'm trying to figure out how that community comes together, I guess.
I think you answered your own question, right? Because again, inside of the community, it's like-minded people and you're collaborating, your tribe, right? And you'll find that inside of those communities, they'll start answering each other's questions, especially when you do live Q&As, right? And you're facilitating the community as the host, right? Think of it as a party, and you got people coming to your party, a gathering, and as the host, you're not talking to everybody. You're moving around the room and letting people and talk to each other. You may talk to them for a minute and go to the next person, so forth like that. And that is the power of the community, is the collaboration, because it's siloed, it's trust, right? Because I'm in here with Chris, and me and Chris share the same thing, and I'm not embarrassed to tell him where I'm making mistakes or where I could use help, or maybe I'm helping Chris to grow. It's a give and take type of thing.
Yeah, and I think for a long time Facebook groups provided that channel. for people.
It did, and it does. The thing with Facebook, though, it's not paid, and other thing is, the concept is there, is what I'm saying.
Right.
But on your
they kind of pivoted, like Facebook kind of pivoted. Like there was a time where they were really pushing and supporting that, but now they kind of have moved on to other things. And from people that have had Facebook groups, they said, what I've heard, I never have curated one, but like they become a victim of their own success, and they get very popular. And so you get too many people in there that aren't on the same page, that aren't having the same conversation. And
Right.
So, you have to be very careful about your curation of who's actually in the room.
Correct. Yeah. And so as the facilitator of your own paid membership community, you can monitor that, right? You can have a community manager. And I don't think that someone that's paying you a monthly fee is going to join something, you know what I'm saying, that they can't. In other words, if they're not like-minded, they're not going to be there anyway, right?
Yeah.
And people who pay attention. You know what I mean? So if they come
That's exactly right.
So if they come over to that paid membership community, I'm going to keep emphasizing paid, because, you got to take into consideration your time, right? The fact that you curated the people, got them together, and now you're going to give them some information for free. Well, I mean, I don't know too many people that value free information. You have to be
No, it could be brilliant. It could be brilliant advice, but if you don't pay for it, you're not going to value it.
People who pay attention. I'm 100%.
That's 100% right.
Right. So, it's like attention is common, but monetized attention is rare.
Hey creatives, Delana Ely here. I had a question for you. If you could pay yourself more, why aren't you doing it? For real. S Corp is an option for you, the creative entrepreneur, to move your business to the next level, to pay yourself more, and to cut your tax savings down. Yeah, less money to the IRS. We want that, right? So why haven't you done it yet? What's going on? The reality is you probably have 50,000 questions in your brain. You don't know which way is up and down, and you're still too busy to do all those things, plus also create, right? Well, the good thing for you is that Core Group is actually the place to be to get that S Corp election rolling. Yeah, we have an assessment. Let's see if you qualify. Come chat with me. Core Group, turning passion into profit.
So you mentioned in the green room digital citizens. Talk a little bit about that. What are you doing there?
So Digital Citizens is a service company, and so basically what we do at that company, and we're literally steering away from, but as a stance, it's a content marketing company, right? And
okay.
So Christian comes to me, says he has an idea for a podcast. Don Vito, you're the expert. And so what we do is we work out something. And so what we do is help you to start your podcast, how to set it up, get distribution. If you're doing it from your home, typically it was like a done for you service, right? And which means we do everything for you. But I'm only one person. And, the days of me really trading my time for money is really not the move because it's expensive.
No.
Right. So it's easier for me to show you how to do it, set you up, walk you through the steps, then give you the keys and let you drive it, manage it for a couple of months until you get the hang of it. Or you can join our community, which is the Podcast Money Academy. And that's for starters who don't know what equipment to get, how to set it up, how to get major distribution. That's that. I don't really have time for that. I'll jump in that weekly to answer some Q&As. But mainly I'm more focused on helping someone like you who has several episodes to get the concept of the podcasting, know that it takes some work in the back end. And then we set you up as a media business to monetize.
That's an interesting statement. I was doing some thought exercises last week, and I'm going to tell you what I came up with and get your opinion on it. you have not prepped for this question, except your lived experience. So I just want what comes off the top of your head. I see disruption where a lot of traditional models are shifting or have shifted entirely, such as advertising creative agencies. And I'm talking about larger ones, not small ones, where, they used to have all the things in-house: videographer, graphic designers, web developers, copywriters. They had everything in-house, and then they would be a one-stop shop. That model is really broken and going away. And what I came up with is that a lot of the people that were doing work for agencies, subcontracted out, since those agencies are struggling or gone away, that they're becoming media companies,
right?
Where they have to figure out the whole thing where they only had to know one thing before. So, what are your thoughts on that?
I think that I wouldn't focus on building an audience. I'd be building assets. And so, if you're looking at an agency, that model really, it still could work. But why? It's like the internet has leveled the playing field.
Right.
And so think about it. When we get through with this interview, you're going to edit it and you're going to distribute that to the world.
Right. Right.
You know what I mean? And so then the focus would be, okay, now that I create content, it's create content, market it, sale. Those are the pillars. Create content, market, sale. Any business, really, that is the model for any business, right? Whether it's Coke is the content. The red and the thing, they pay ad agencies to create this marketing material, whether it's a flyer, whether it's a banner, whether it's a commercial, radio commercial, whatever. That is the content that they're creating to market, to create more awareness around the product or the thing, the product being the thing, or the content. And it's to generate sales.
Yes, I would agree with that. I think what you said is what I'm saying, is that the game has changed and technology has collapsed everything, where content creation for a creative, unless you're doing a physical medium, like I'm making, stone sculptures, or I'm painting paintings. Everything else in the digital world, from audio to video to the written word, the cost of production of content has gone to zero. Like, anybody can do it for nothing and distribute it. The question is then, what does that do for the people that's how they make their living? And I contend what it's requiring people to do is become problem solvers. We had a client event a few weeks ago, and one of them was a videographer by trade and training, and he had a manufacturing client that came to him and said, "Look, we want to fire our agency. Can you do everything else for us?" And he's like, "Well, I don't know how to do all of those things. I know how to make video for you to sell your product." And they're like, that's fine. We understand you've never done it before, but we really hate the agency we've got. Would you give it a try? And he described it. He's been doing this for like 4 or 5 years. He said he became a reluctant agency owner. Like, he doesn't even really want to say he's an agency owner, but because he was solving this problem for his customer, which was help me sell my product, he had to learn these other skills. And so no longer was he a videographer that just made product videos. He was now a solution provider to helping them sell their stuff.
Yeah, it's all solution.
Right.
The Profitable Creative is a solution-based podcast. Somebody has a problem. You're speaking to an audience, a group of people who you identified as business owners who are looking to leverage the medium, or whether it's podcast or whatever, to generate for a client acquisition. And so the podcast, what better way to do it than with a podcast, especially on YouTube, the video, right? It's the ultimate form of media, right? Because it's everything. It's video, audio, and text or graphics. And you're leveraging that platform for client acquisition because it gives you the opportunity to, find your tribe, nurture your tribe, establish yourself as a thought leader, subject matter expert, authority in a field, and drive the traffic. Most people problem is they fail because they don't have they don't approach it. They approach it with the mindset of it's a hobby or a vanity metric instead of, okay, what do I have to sell? What is it that I can do that I can, at the end of the day, do a call to action to say, hey, and if you want more of this, do X, Y, et cetera. In terms of the agencies, life is about pivoting. You have to pivot, right? Because think about it. When I was producing music, I wasn't producing music on a computer. I was producing music on a drum machine and a keyboard. Right. And so those who were complaining about, oh man, when Pro Tools or Logic first came out or whatever those music platforms were, they were complaining. Well, guess what? They got left in the dust. And for those who were complaining about music, the video, where, man, I got to have the red camera, this, that. Well, guess what? You got left in the dust. But the principles are the same.
You're 100% right.
Create content to market and sell. And so each one of those buckets have something. There's a science to creating content, right? First, you have to identify who your audience is. Most often, I see not just people in the podcast, but just in business. You'd be amazed if you ask them who their audience is or their avatar or who they're talking to. Either they're going to answer one or two questions. They're going to answer the question in one or two ways. Either it's, I don't know, or everybody. Well, if you're talking to everybody, you're really not talking to nobody, right?
That's 100% right. No, you're exactly right. And I guess, the way I would describe what's changed from what you experienced in audio to what's happened recently with everything else is that the people that had a skill that they had a creative skill, they were good at video editing, audio recording, writing, design, whatever. They had a skill and they could trade that time for money, right? And make a business out of it. And that to me is no different than if you're a plumber, right? Like you've got a skill, you're going to go do something and you're going to trade, money for your time. But now that paradigm has shifted. And if you're still trying to chase time for money, as a creative professional, you're doomed because the cost is low and it's getting lower.
Absolutely. But the key word is skill, but it's a transferable skill. Mm-hmm. Some people get stuck in the ways. It's like, man, back in the day that's back in the day. It's today. How about that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so those editors still exist. It's just you have to listen. If you're an editor, if you're a videographer, if you're a musician, the smartest thing to do for in my opinion, the smartest thing to do is we're talking about trading time for money. Well, trading time for money as an editor, videographer, or a musician is, hey, I need you to come and play this keyboard or lead guitar or whatever that is, right? Or as a videographer, come to this said location and film. Or the editor, I need to send you this footage so that you can create a long form video, right? But that's one person and you're still trading your time for money. The mindset needs to shift. So
100%.
Because you have a skill, whether it's videographer or editor or musician, well, you can package that up into something and then say, hey, look, my name is Don Vito. My name is Chris. And a lot of times people are always asking me, how do you start a podcast? What do I do? Where do I start? Who do I do? What kind of cameras? Well, look, I want to show you that along with so on, X, Y, et cetera. So if you're interested in learning how to start a podcast, how to make money, how to grow your audience, click the link below, join my community, and I'm going to show you that. But the course is already created. You've already done the heavy lifting, right? So so me charging, let's say, for instance, if I charge a fee of $5,000, I mean, hourly rate, project rate, or, a day rate, whatever that is, right? Well, as a musician, videographer, or editor, I'm trading my time for money. And let's say, for instance, I get $5,000, and that's for 2 days, or as an editor, whatever that number is. That seems like a lot of money until let's put it in perspective. I can charge one person $5,000 for 8 hours worth of work, if that's what it costs, or if that is how long it takes. Or I can charge 10 people $2,000 for less time. Right. And that's $20,000. 10 people at $2,000. Less time. It's compressed into a community, right? And so this 1 hour could have been me on a group call, coaching call, mentorship call, or whatever that is, with those 10 people that paid me $2,000 in the comfort of my home, and answering questions about the video that I made that they liked, and that helped them to start the podcast, or learn how to edit, or learn how to play the keyboard. I mean, everything is a subscription model. I mean, Riverside, what we're on, is a subscription model, right? Your power bill is a subscription model. Your utilities is a subscription model. Your phone bill is a subscription model. Netflix is a subscription model. It is. And so just get with it, or get left behind.
Well, I use this analogy, and I think it's a great illustration. So you need a ditch dug in your backyard. Maybe you got to lay a new sewer line. I don't know, but you need a ditch, and you hire a guy, and he shows up with a crew of 3 people and some shovels, right? Or you hire a guy and he shows up with a backhoe, right? One's going to take a lot longer, going to involve more people. Setting aside, say they cost the same, they're not going to take the same amount of time. Do you care? No, I don't care how you do the ditch digging. I just need the ditch. That's the outcome. That's the thing. I need that thing, right? And I don't really care how long it took you to learn how to run the backhoe, or what you had to do to go find the other 3 guys to help you dig the ditch, or have to go to Home Depot to get I don't give a shit about any of that stuff, right? I just want the ditch, right? And we, as business owners, get focused on like our skill. Well, like I'm really good with a shovel. I'm really good with a backhoe. What happens when someone can come in and do it with a robot? Like, I mean, that's my point is we're focusing on the wrong things. You got to focus on the outcome that people are willing to pay for. That's what you're selling.
Absolutely. And to your point, you could show up with a backhoe or a crew, right? But I think when it's just one person, I think you're doing the world a disservice, right? Because you have this accumulated skill through time, right, and experience. And so now you're serving one person at a time. Well, that's a disservice, because if someone in Montana, or Utah, or Wyoming, or another part of the country, they can use that skill. So package it into some kind of teaching, right? And let them be able to ask questions and put it in a group setting. That is, I don't see no other way. Like, even if it's ditch digging, right? Well, that's a skill. You've been doing it a long time. Maybe you could teach some other people, but you can't. If it's just you showing up to the location and you're locked in digging that ditch for how long it takes, whether it's a 3-man crew or however long. That's just one thing, but there are ditches that need to be dug across the world. And if you have that skill and if you are as good as you say you are, then you should strongly consider a paid membership community teaching people how to dig ditches.
Yeah. I mean, it's a 1-to-1 or 1-to-many. I mean,
I like the 1-to-many.
Yeah. Don, how do people find out more about you, the Podfather, if they want to work with you?
Well, they can go to my IG, which is Don Vito XL. That's on my IG. That's DONVITO. Or they can join the Podcast Money Academy. I'll share the link with you, and you can, post it. And for those who are interested in, for those business owners who really want to just get their feet wet and just see what it's like before they jump all the way in and commit, then they can join the Podcast Money Academy, where you'll have courses and be able to meet with me once a week in a group setting. That's the operative word. And ask questions based on the course material. We have experts that come in there once a month to answer questions and talk about how they were successful as well. And there's just so many resources inside of the Podcast Money Academy.
I love it. Listeners will have those links in the show notes. If you like what you've heard, please rate the podcast, share the podcast, subscribe to the podcast. If you don't like what you've heard, hit the little message button and tell us what you'd like to hear, and I'll get rid of Don. Until next time, ta-ta for now.